Nisa, thank you so much for joining us here at CAIS20.
Thanks for having me.
You've been part of a panel looking at all things blockchain, crypto. Tell me about your passion for that and why that is.
Yeah, I think it's a technology that has so many different applications that right now what gets all the attention is the speculation around the price of Bitcoin, et cetera. But there are so many ways to use tokenization as a way to democratize access to capital and to deal flow. And I think that provides liquidity, transparency, and automation in a way that has never been possible before. And so, for instance, let's say you had a climate change project and you had a bunch of people that wanted to invest in it, but it wasn't really the right fit for a venture capital portfolio or private equity or even any other model, right? But you could tokenize the project and offer it up to mostly accredited, but maybe unaccredited investors as well, and they could, instead of making a philanthropical donation, they could buy a token. And that token has value, and after a 1-year lockup, they'll be able to trade that token. And so they're getting access to something that they wouldn't otherwise have access to, and whoever is behind that project is getting a whole new group of investors.
So it's exciting times for digital assets and what they can do in this decade. How fast do you think that evolution is going to happen now? Because there has been resistance and skepticism and cynicism. You know, as you talked about Bitcoin there's been a lot of confusion over that, if you like. How quickly do you think that evolution is going to happen now?
So I think cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are one thing, and there's certainly regulatory hurdles around that, and it depends what jurisdiction you're in. I think what we're talking about is tokenization is a security token, and it is already regulated. So the regulations are baked in at the token level, so it is already okay. There are no barriers for it.
And what do you think this can do? What could it achieve going forward, and how crucial will it be in things like, you talked there about perhaps the backing of, say, a climate project, or is it going to change the face of investment altogether and what we can invest in?
Yes, I think it will. I mean, for instance, if you own a limited partner interest in a fund, you're locked up, and if you decide you want to sell that interest, you need to find a buyer, you need to take a 30% cut for the liquidity premium, and hire a lot of lawyers to do it, right? If you tokenize that LP interest, again, same example, you can trade it. And the process is just much simpler. And that applies to so many different illiquid assets. So this is already happening. I think people are just not that aware of it. And that infrastructure to make it even easier is in the process of being built up.
And how excited are you about the idea that this could be a force for good as well? Because obviously one of the key themes at this conference this year is responsible. Perhaps that might be the catalyst or something that can really facilitate that kind of investment too.
Exactly. Well, if you look at traditional crowdfunding platforms, you see a lot more investment going towards women and minorities than the traditional system, right? And that's because people are able to vote and people are able to invest small amounts. It's the same concept here, just on steroids. Like, you can invest in the projects you want to invest in, and that will make a huge difference for healthcare, for climate, for other areas of ESG. So I think I'm excited about that.
Exciting times, Nisa. Thanks so much for joining us. Great to hear your insights.
Thanks for having me.